Hey everybody, Fishman here, welcome to another video. I need to build a tower carbon filter, one that can sit above an aquarium and also underneath a canopy. Now I decided to cannibalize this ebb and flow filter so I don't have to build the whole thing from scratch, and I'm going to keep the bell siphon, which is on the right. I'm going to use the chamber on the left. And actually, if you remember when I built that, I built it of a certain shape and size because of how easy it would be to convert it into something else. I didn't expect it to come up this quickly, but something has arisen that I need to address, and this is the perfect time to convert this. Now, what's happened is changes I've had to do, well, because of the current world situation, on what I call mid-sized aquariums, at least a few of them anyway. What I used to do for like the 120s to 180s, I would run a pump and a hose every time I would get a little bit of a buildup of the organic molecules, the colored ones like tannic acids and that sort of stuff, and I would just do a good sized water change. And I can't do that anymore for a couple of clients. Now on the larger aquariums, the 300 and ups, if you remember a couple of years ago, I put together a really large and very efficient carbon filter, but unfortunately it is way too big, not so much in the sense that it's going to clean too much, but in the sense that it just doesn't fit. It won't go underneath the canopies, and it certainly won't fit under the stands, so I need to build something a little bit more compact, and also something that I can change easily. This may or may not be able to remove all the organic molecules in one go, but because it's going to be very simple to take out this chamber here, which is going to fit inside that tower, and then just dump out the carbon, put more carbon in, it won't make any difference. I can just leave it on a given aquarium until it's cleaned things up, and then I can move it to another one. And then I might even try it out on some of the larger tanks. Well, they certainly have the space for it, and then like do it more frequently instead of doing the big carbon filter and doing it every 6 months or so. So that's my plan here. To that end, what I'm putting together here is just a simple basket. This is going to slide down inside the tower, and it is going to contain the carbon, which is going to filter the water for me. Now what I've done here is I've perforated the bottom, and on top of that I'm going to put a nylon screen as well. Carbon is, well, at least the one I use anyway, is all of different sizes, and some of it may flow through here, and I just don't want to even get into the tank and end up causing me more work. And also on the left, right by my wrist there, well, hidden by my wrist at the moment, are 3 holes that are simply there for finger holes to make this easy to clean. Well, not so much clean, but this basket is just going to need to be recharged. So what I'll do is reach down inside the tower, use those finger holes to pull it out, and then I'll dump the old carbon out, recharge it, and put it back in, and it should only take moments, which is a big bonus for me. And the other thing is nice about this, because this is not going to be attached to anything, this is just going to sit on top of an aquarium. I can move this from tank to tank as necessary, and that's also really good because I do have about at least 3 clients currently that, like I said, access, not so much like getting in or anything, but having lots of equipment is not necessarily a good thing, so this will make it easier for me to do my job and not be obtrusive. So one other thing you'll notice about this basket is it is raised above the bottom. This is actually how, or sorry, not how I build aquariums, but this is the structure, like a format when I'm putting glass aquariums together. I have the bottom raised up inside. This has absolutely nothing to do in this case with structural integrity, because I could actually make this out of 1/8 inch. The only reason why I went with quarter is I have a little bit more of that in stock at the moment. And I suspect this is going to get a fair amount of use, at least in the short term, well, again, because of all the situations in the world. So I don't think I'm going to be able to go back to my pump and hose method for at least a little while. And I want this to be robust enough that I don't have to worry about cracking it or anything. I'm sometimes in a hurry, so I don't want, like I said, I don't want to put undue stress on the 1/8 and end up having issues with it. So this is going to be more than strong enough to do the job. And the reason why, like I said, it's raised up above is this is going to sit on top of the egg crate that's already there in the tower, the one that was holding the lava rock in its original incarnation. So you can sometimes get, when you have two surfaces stuck together like that, you can have a little bit of molten buildup, and then that could interfere with the flow. And this prevents that. This gives it a little bit of a gap so that I'll get even flow even when it is a little bit dirty. This is definitely not one of my more complicated builds, but it's something I had to put together this week. I'm going to the client, or the first one that this is going to go on next week, and I had to have it ready for that, which unfortunately means that you won't get to see this run today, but I will do updates for it, so you get to see it in operation. I don't really think there's going to be any kind of hiccups with it. I think it's going to work quite fine. That's actually the nice thing about above tank tower filters. If you remember, some time ago I put together a tower trickle filter, and they work really well. I mean, it's a simple design. It's efficient design. It's just pretty much a trickle filter, sump filter, whatever you want to call it. It just sits above the aquarium. That's all. Because it's gravity fed, there's very little that can go wrong with it. You just use a pump to put water in it, and then that's all there is to it. And this is actually pretty much done right now. I am going to do one other thing for it, and that is I need to put a lid on the top of this just to keep splashing, and also to make sure there's not too much in the way of humidity here. But this is it. All you do is slide it down inside, and that's it. It's good to go. And as you can see, that's the reason why I raised it up. I didn't want it contacting that egg crate down there as well. Now, lid-wise, I am just going to put a simple, well, it's just a simple fitting. This is the half-inch PVC that I use when I use those small pumps I have. I've already built a number of adapters for it, and that is actually something that I try to do when I'm doing installs for clients, and that is to keep the number of different things that I need to keep on hand, parts, pumps, that sort of stuff, to an absolute minimum. That way, let's say, in this particular case here, when I build this, it's all half-inch PVC, so if a fitting breaks, I have a whole basket full of them. If the pump goes, I always have a spare, because I like to keep them around, and they're not that expensive. And even with the larger pumps, like I said, I try to find a brand that I like, even though I've had recent issues with some of them. I think I have one now that's reasonably good, and like I said, that way if the client gives me a call saying something's not working, most likely I'll have the part that I need in my vehicle, and it makes, first off, I don't have to make multiple trips, and secondly, they're happy because the problem goes away real fast. Now, what I'm doing here now is I'm going to put a quick lid on this just to keep splashing down, and also to keep humidity to a minimum underneath the canopy. And I just built a quick, I cut a quick jig here. It's just a template so that I can keep them all the same. And you'll notice I didn't bother cutting it so that they're centered. Not really necessary, because this is, well, filter underneath the canopy that no one's ever going to see. But also you'll notice that if you build a template and they're all, like I said, offset by the same amount, it actually ends up looking fine. They don't necessarily have to be centered. Though, of course, if I was building this for someone and they wanted it, I would, go to the extra trouble of just cutting that to the right size. And the other thing you notice in the top there, I did turn down the male fitting for, that's what's going to go on this. That's just so that it doesn't end up getting clogged in the poly wool that I'm going to put underneath this, and that way it just makes it easier. Like I said, less things I have to worry about. And that pretty much brings us to the end of today's video. I will hook this up on a client's tank next week. I will record that and show you the footage. But there's very little that goes wrong with these things. Tower filters are easy. They're gravity fed, so there's very little, like I said, that can go wrong with them. And because you can put any number of different chambers on them and do different kinds of media, they're quite versatile as well. If you remember the 5-stage airlift, it actually goes to a version of this, and I have done practically nothing to that filter except clean the pre-filter every now and then, and it just keeps on working. There's, like I said, there's very little in the sense of things that can go wrong with them. So there you go, all done, all put together, all ready to go and install, and I will do that and show it to you. And as always, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video, and bye for now.